On the day of obtaining the marriage certificate, Andrew received news of his white moonlight's husband's death and promptly chose to abandon me, entering the car. Let us postpone the marriage certificate, Luna must be deeply saddened now, and I am concerned about her being alone, he said, and seeing my silence, he continued, she has endured significant hardship in her in-laws' family over the years, and now, with her husband deceased, she has no one to depend on but me. Rest assured, I will certainly marry you, but she requires my support presently. Once her emotional state improves, I will arrange an overseas vacation for her, and then we can obtain the certificate, Andrew concluded, closing the car door and departing swiftly, leaving me gazing in his direction with tear-reddened eyes. Recalling my best friend's mention yesterday of her uncle seeking a marriage partner, I picked up my phone and called Ethan, saying, Ethan, I have a marriage proposal I wish to discuss with you. Very well, Ethan responded from the other end without hesitation, surprising me slightly, and added, if it is convenient for you now, come to the Civil Affairs Bureau, and we will obtain the certificate. I replied, all right, wait for me. Ethan and I were not well acquainted, having only met briefly through my best friend Alma, who mentioned that Grandpa Song had recently been pressuring Ethan intensely to marry, prompting his reluctant search for a spouse. He arrived quickly, appearing to have dressed with care. After obtaining the certificate, Ethan sent a sequence of codes to my phone, stating, this is the access code to my residence, you may move in at your convenience, and added, I must travel abroad to attend to some matters, but feel free to contact me anytime if you need assistance. He then retrieved a bank card from his wallet and handed it to me, saying, this bank card has no PIN, use it as needed, and observing his series of actions, I suddenly felt that marrying him might be quite satisfactory, considering his attractiveness, wealth, and well-maintained physique. After Ethan departed, Andrew called me, saying, Chloe, do not misunderstand, Luna is akin to family to me, and I merely wish to support her through this distressing period, adding, as for our marriage certificate, there is ample time in the future. Suppressing my inner sorrow, I responded with feigned calm, that is your concern, you need not explain it to me. Andrew fell silent for several seconds, then sighed deeply, saying, can you refrain from displaying your spoiled demeanor at this moment? How else must I explain this to you? I have already stated that once Luna's mood improves, I will arrange for her departure. I truly do not understand why you are upset, he continued, and as I listened to the incessant reproaches over the phone, my chest tightened with distress. Gazing at the red marriage certificate in my hand, I endeavored to stabilize my emotions and declared, Andrew, we are finished, the engagement is terminated. Assuming I was threatening him with a breakup, Andrew responded with a tone laden with contempt, there is a limit to your theatrics. Were it not for our Yi family these past years, could your Lin family have endured until now? Since you enjoy indulging in your spoiled tantrums, let the engagement be cancelled as you wish, but I hope you do not return to me in tears begging. Andrew hung up angrily, and as I listened to the disconnected busy tone, tears fell unwittingly. 3 years ago, my father was ensnared in a calculated plot, causing the company's fortunes to plummet drastically, rendering me a fallen heiress mocked by the socialite circle. To preserve the company, my father had no choice but to assent to Henry's marriage alliance proposal, yet I developed affection for Andrew through our daily interactions. Though I liked him, he was not indispensable to me. Thus, I wiped the tears from my face and took a taxi home, intending to pack some belongings and relocate to the Song residence, only to unexpectedly encounter Andrew and Luna there. The moment I entered, Andrew was tenderly wiping tears from Luna's eyes, his gaze filled with concern, a tenderness I had never experienced from him. Previously, to assist Andrew in securing a project, I accompanied a client up a construction scaffold dozens of meters high in sweltering heat, and afterward, I cried out of fear, only for him to call me overly delicate, yet now, a few tears from Luna elicit his profound sympathy. Over the years, Andrew consistently treated me with polite detachment, leading me to believe he was simply too stoic to grasp romance. It now appears his tenderness was reserved solely for Luna. Upon seeing me, Andrew appeared somewhat smug, expecting me to capitulate and apologize, but I did not spare him a glance and proceeded directly to the living room. Luna, standing nearby, wiped her tears and greeted me with reddened eyes. Chloe, you're back? I furrowed my brow and pointed at her, asking Andrew, why is she in my house? Andrew's expression turned frigid instantly, and he spoke in a hushed tone. Luna prefers the floor-to-ceiling windows as they alleviate her sense of confinement. She will reside here for now, and you should stay at a hotel. Upon hearing this, I could not suppress a cold smirk, finding the notion utterly preposterous, and retorted, "This is my home, by what authority do you make decisions for me?" Tears immediately streamed down Luna's face as she looked at Andrew with grievance, saying, "It is my fault, I should not be here, please do not argue over me, I will leave now." She forced a faint smile, though tears continued to fall unabated, stating, "I can manage staying at a hotel alone, I will not trouble you further," and as she prepared to stand and depart, Andrew restrained her, wiping her tears with evident distress. "You have no kin here, where could you possibly go? How can I feel at ease with you staying alone in a hotel?" he questioned. Andrew looked up at me, his eyes brimming with discontent and anger, saying, "Chloe, I knew you were prone to tantrums, but I never imagined you lacked any compassion. Even if you do not pity Luna, you intend to expel her." The barrage of comments also expressed outrage at my actions. "So infuriating, how can the gentle Chloe be bullied by Luna like this? Luna even wants to oust Chloe, it is utterly despicable," but thankfully the male lead supports Chloe. Unwilling to prolong the confrontation, I turned to ascend the stairs. My disregard visibly wounded Andrew's pride, prompting him to lunge forward and seize me, demanding, "Have you caused enough commotion? I have explained the marriage certificate matter. Even if you are upset, you should not vent your anger on Luna, who has done nothing wrong. Luna endured immense grievances in her in-laws' household previously, and my failure to protect her then was already a disservice. Now, with her husband deceased, if I do not stand by her, how is she to survive?" he argued. As he spoke, he gazed at me imploringly, saying, "Thus, Chloe, I know you are most understanding, please empathize with me, will you?" I dispassionately shook off his hand and stated coldly, "We have terminated our engagement. How you choose to care for your white moonlight is your affair and bears no relevance to me. However, please refrain from using my house to appease her. If you are genuinely concerned about her staying in a hotel, you could purchase a property for her or take her to the Ye residence. Why subject her to my displeasure here?" I added. Incensed, Andrew raised his right hand to strike me, but Luna intervened, saying, "I did not expect Chloe to harbor such aversion toward me. It must be some fault of mine that led to her misunderstanding. I am willing to apologize to her." "Observe how benevolent Luna is, still defending you at this juncture," Andrew exclaimed, though my attention was wholly captivated by the jade bracelet on Luna's wrist, rendering me oblivious to his words. "Why is my bracelet on your wrist?" I demanded, and before Luna could respond, Andrew hastily interjected, "I heard jade bracelets can soothe the mind, and since Luna has been sleeping poorly lately, I gave it to her," prompting me to laugh in exasperation, though a pang of bitterness welled within me as I retorted, "This was the engagement gift you gave me." Andrew frowned and retorted impatiently, "It is merely a bracelet, must you be so petty?" To which I replied, "Fine, since you put it that way, I shall fully embrace the charge of pettiness." As I spoke, I seized a hammer from the table and struck the jade bracelet on Luna's wrist, shattering it into fragments before either could react. "Ah!" Luna shrieked in alarm and promptly hid behind Andrew, timidly tugging at his sleeve, her trembling voice betraying vulnerability and helplessness. If my sister was unwilling to gift me the bracelet, I would have returned it to her. Why smash it? "After all, it was your gift to her. I certainly could not bear to destroy it," Luna remarked. Witnessing Luna's aggrieved and helpless demeanor, Andrew's fury surged, and he lunged forward, shoving me forcefully. I stumbled, colliding with the wall cabinet behind me, causing a vase atop it to fall under the impact and strike my head precisely. Intense pain radiated from my head, inducing dizziness, and I collapsed to the floor. A fleeting triumphant smile crossed Luna's face before she swiftly feigned concern for me. "Chloe, are you all right? The vase only grazed you lightly, you should not be injured," Luna said with insincere kindness, eliciting a wave of sympathy from the comments. Chloe is truly too kind. Despite Luna's bullying, she harbors no resentment and even worries about Luna's injuries. "Oh, poor Chloe, Luna is wicked and deserved to be struck." The comments lamented. I glared fiercely at Luna and reached to touch the wound on my head, whereupon a warm stream of blood flowed down my forehead. Observing my rejection of Luna's concern, Andrew embraced her shoulders and consoled her softly. "Luna, ignore her. She is merely delicate. You have not slept well recently. Let me assist you upstairs to rest," and without a glance at me, he escorted Luna upstairs. Enduring the pain, I took a taxi to the hospital to have my wound dressed. Due to a mild concussion, the doctor recommended an overnight observation. The following morning, as I awoke, Andrew sat beside me with a guilty expression, saying, "I apologize, I was overly emotional yesterday and did not intend to push you," adding, "I did not anticipate that such a gentle push would injure you." I twitched my lips and retorted, "What? Blaming my spoiled nature again?" Andrew frowned at me and sighed softly. "You were clearly so compliant before, how could jealousy render you so unreasonable now?" As the sole daughter of the Lin family, I was raised with indulgent care by my father, who continued to pamper me even after the family's subsequent decline. During every argument with Andrew, he invariably criticized me for being accustomed to a privileged demeanor and throwing tantrums. Over time, under his repeated censure, I gradually ceased displaying my true self before him, growing accustomed to unwavering compliance in his presence. Noticing my silence, Andrew continued, "When you return, offer Luna a proper apology, and we shall consider this matter resolved. Luna deliberately went to the market today to buy ingredients, intending to cook a meal for you herself to dispel the misunderstanding. I will not accompany you, as I am uneasy about her being alone. I shall leave now," Andrew said, departing before I could respond. The comments before me were animated, so touching. When will Andrew realize his love for Chloe? Chloe is truly kind and generous, even planning to cook for Luna herself. Luna is utterly ungrateful. I gave a self-deprecating smile, realizing this was the potency of a white moonlight. I had initially assumed that Luna's marriage would sever Andrew's attachment to her, but it now seemed his claim of treating her solely as family was mere self-delusion. During every festival and holiday, Andrew consistently sent Luna gifts of varying sizes, not even omitting Valentine's Day. When Luna faced mistreatment at her in-laws' home, Andrew would fret sleeplessly all night. Upon hearing her weep over the phone, he would hasten to her side without delay. Confronted with my doubts, he invariably responded dismissively, "Though Luna is the daughter of our family's servant, she grew up alongside me like kin, and I bear a responsibility to care for her." Yet, as his fiancée, I never received such solicitude. However, this no longer matters, for our relationship has concluded. I picked up my phone and idly scrolled through Facebook, where Luna had posted an update featuring a photo of her and Andrew holding hands while shopping at the market, captioned, "Happiness is enjoying life's simple pleasures with him." As I prepared to continue browsing Facebook, I received a message from Luna containing a screenshot of her conversation with Andrew. Andrew stated that he was compelled by Henry's pressure to agree to our marriage alliance and harbored no genuine affection for me. Viewing the screenshot Luna sent, my heart remained unperturbed. Abruptly realizing something, I called a lock-changing service, and the locksmith, highly efficient, replaced the lock shortly thereafter. Approximately 30 minutes later, as I anticipated, Andrew called me in a fury, exclaiming, "Who authorized you to change the lock? You knew Luna went grocery shopping. How is she to return home now?" I chuckled and replied, "It is my house's lock, I may change it as I please," hanging up before Andrew could retort. A nurse entered the ward, conducted pertinent examinations, and permitted my discharge. Upon reaching my doorstep, I discovered the lock had been pried open by someone Andrew had hired, prompting me to dial 911 to report the incident. The pair flirting in the kitchen remained oblivious to my arrival. Andrew, emerging with dishes, paused upon seeing me and promptly scolded, "You return without a sound. Hurry and assist with the dishes." Ignoring him entirely, I went to the study to retrieve the doorstep surveillance footage on the computer. As I located the video of Andrew prying the lock, the police arrived, inquiring, "Who reported this? What is happening?" Andrew and Luna exchanged bewildered glances at the sight of the police at the door, questioning, "No one called the police. Could there be a mistake, officers?" "I called the police," I declared, emerging from the study and pointing at Andrew and Luna, stating, these two have trespassed into my residence," and handed the surveillance video to the officers. Unprepared for my report, Andrew hastily defended himself. "We are acquainted. I am her fiancé. How can this be deemed trespassing?" The police glanced at Andrew, then at me, and asked with puzzlement, "Is he your fiancé?" I responded, "He was once, but we have now parted. Today, he entered my home without permission, prying the lock and bringing a stranger inside." Hearing my words, Andrew trembled with rage but, constrained by the police presence, restrained his outburst, gritting his teeth as he said, "You have gone too far. To prevent Luna from staying here, you not only changed the lock but now called the police. I never imagined you could be so malicious." Luna, cowering behind Andrew, trembled slightly as if under immense grievance, saying, "It is all my fault. Arrest me if you must, officers," and added, "It is a pity about this meal. I intended to apologize to my sister, not expecting it to escalate thus." Seeing Luna's helpless appearance, Andrew embraced her tenderly and consoled her softly. "How could this be your fault? It is all her unreasonable behavior." The comments were replete with sympathy for Luna. "Poor my Chloe baby, she only wished to apologize and did no wrong. Thankfully, the male lead protects Chloe, or she would be too pitiable." I glanced at the comments, pursed my lips, and addressed the police solemnly. "Officers, I demand they depart my residence immediately and compensate me for the resultant damages." The police, assessing the situation, gained clear insight and regarded Andrew and Luna meaningfully, stating, "Accompany us to the police station." At the station, after completing the statements, I recounted the full context to the police. As no substantial harm was inflicted upon me, they administered appropriate criticism and education to Andrew and Luna. Before the police, Andrew pledged to have Luna vacate my home and provide me with due compensation. Exiting the station, I observed the dejected pair and permitted a triumphant smile to curve my lips. Abruptly, my phone rang. It was Ethan, asking, "Are you free tomorrow to try on a wedding dress?" To which I replied, "Yes." The next morning, Ethan arranged for someone to escort me to the bridal shop. Upon seeing him, I belatedly realized I had indeed married him in a fit of impulse. Ethan gently took my hand and led me to an exquisite wedding dress, saying, "Try this one on," before proceeding to try on suits under the staff's guidance. A nearby staff member could not resist remarking, "Mrs. Ethan, you are truly fortunate. This wedding dress was specially designed by Ethan with an Italian designer, with every detail from fabric to accessories personally selected by him." The wedding dress before me was dazzlingly white, adorned with intricate patterns and meticulous craftsmanship, its hem sequins shimmering like stars under the lights. As I emerged wearing the wedding dress, I unexpectedly encountered Andrew and Luna, who had come for a photo shoot. He was enthusiastically selecting a dress for Luna to wear, and his face turned cold the instant he saw me. "Why are you here, dressed like this? Do you think this will compel me to marry you?" he demanded, adding, "Have you recalled that your Lin family's business still depends on our Yi family? If you behave obediently, I might reconsider marrying you." Andrew regarded me arrogantly, while Luna approached with a smile, offering a feigned explanation. "Chloe, do not misunderstand. I told Andrew I never took wedding photos when I married, and he brought me here out of sympathy." Luna appraised the wedding dress I wore, her eyes gleaming, and said, "The dress you're wearing is stunning. I believe it's the finest in the shop. Alas, I lack the fortune to don such a beautiful gown." She sighed softly after speaking, and Andrew took her hand, saying tenderly, "You are worthy of all beautiful things." Turning to me, he instructed, "Remove the wedding dress you're wearing for Luna. It's a rare opportunity for her to take wedding photos, and she must wear the most beautiful gown." I cast Andrew a glance and ignored him, incensed by my dismissal. He roared, "I told you to take it off. Did you hear me?" Seeing my continued indifference, he moved to forcibly remove the dress. During the struggle, the diamond-encrusted edge sliced a thin gash on my arm, blood gushing forth, yet Andrew showed no intent of relenting. He seized my wrist and dragged me toward the changing room. I struggled vehemently to break free, exclaiming, "Andrew, what does my trying on a wedding dress have to do with you? I'm not marrying you. Release me. Your ploys to play hard to get are futile against me," he retorted, and just as he was about to force me into the changing room, a hand intervened in time to restrain me. Ethan's familiar voice resounded in my ear, My wife instructed you to let go, did you not hear her? Wife. Andrew's face contorted with anger as he released me, demanding with a dour expression, to spite me, you even enlisted a man to pose as your husband? I scoffed lightly, wiped the blood from my hand, and regarded him impatiently, saying, what makes you think you're worth deceiving? You are not indispensable to me. An indescribable shadow flickered in Andrew's eyes as he furrowed his brow tightly, questioning, have you long been entangled with this rogue? Do you deem this fair to our years of affection? The onlookers whispered among themselves, indeed, appearances deceive a fine girl so lacking in self-respect, caught cheating, and, what a chaotic scene, now there's a spectacle to behold. Luna, observing the situation, deliberately raised her voice, saying, Chloe, surely you haven't truly cheated? That's unacceptable, no matter how jealous you are, you shouldn't resort to such disgraceful acts. Over these years, Andrew has sacrificed so much for you. When your family faced calamity and no one dared assist, had he not compromised himself to agree to the alliance to aid the Lynn family, you'd have been reduced to begging. Could you still play the privileged miss? She continued. Hearing Luna's words, the crowd began to censure me. Isn't this a real-life rendition of The Farmer and the Snake? And, this woman cheated too, she's utterly ungrateful. What a case of the guilty accusing first. Clearly, they are the transgressors, yet I must bear the brunt. I gripped my hem tightly, striving to regain composure. Sensing my emotional shift, Ethan gently drew me into his embrace, whispering consolation in my ear. Ethan regarded Andrew with a somber countenance, his tone icy. Has Andrew forgotten how he abandoned Chloe alone at the Civil Affairs Bureau for his white moonlight? Since you failed to cherish Chloe, then remain with your white moonlight and cease troubling others, he added. He then extracted our marriage certificate from his pocket and held it before Andrew, declaring, open your wretched eyes and see clearly, Chloe and I are lawfully wedded. If you dare slander her further, neither you nor the Yee family will escape my retribution. Viewing the certificate in Ethan's hand, Andrew was visibly stunned, staring at me in disbelief. How could you marry another? Who besides me could tolerate your spoiled nature? As he advanced to grab me, Ethan kicked him to the ground. Luna gasped and rushed to assist Andrew, saying, Chloe, even if you parted with Andrew, you shouldn't permit your new partner to strike him. Andrew shakily rose, raising his fist to strike Ethan, only for Ethan to preempt him. Ethan shook the hand he'd used to hit and pulled me to leave, but Andrew fell to the ground, clutched my skirt hem, pleading, Chloe, divorce him at once, I can still grant you another chance. I sneered, yanked my skirt from his grasp, and departed arm in arm with Ethan without looking back. Watching us leave, Andrew slumped to the floor like a deflated balloon. Shortly after, he received a call from Henry, who bellowed, You wretched child. This is your doing, allowing Chloe to marry another. Return home immediately. Upon Andrew's hurried return to the Yee residence, Henry sat gravely on the living room sofa, his anger so palpable that none dared breathe loudly. He tentatively called out Dad, while Luna hid behind him in fear. Spotting Luna, Henry, who was sipping tea, grew even more displeased. Who permitted her entry into our Yee family home? Henry demanded, and Andrew, frowning slightly with displeasure, replied, Dad, Luna has nowhere to go, she's merely staying with us temporarily. With a bang, Henry slammed the teacup onto the coffee table, his voice unprecedentedly frigid. For this woman, you abandoned Chloe alone on the certificate day, oblivious even to her marrying another. You'd count money for those who sold you. How did I sire such a foolish son? He exclaimed. Andrew rubbed his temples and said angrily, Did Chloe complain to you? I haven't even settled scores with her. How dare she report to you? Luna hastily attempted to defend Andrew. Uncle Henry, you cannot blame Andrew. She insisted on canceling the engagement and marrying another. Yee family matters are not for you to meddle in. Henry interrupted Luna brusquely before she could finish. Were it not for the Song family's wedding invitation reaching me, I'd be ignorant of your external misdeeds. Henry roared, causing Luna's tears to flow uncontrollably. Andrew reached to wipe her tears, gazing at Henry with discontent. Dad, direct your anger at me. Luna is innocent. Seeing Andrew's obstinacy, Henry waved for the butler to bring in a man, who wailed, I was wrong, please spare me. The man knelt, pleading piteously. Upon recognizing him, Andrew's eyes widened in shock, while Luna beside him paled drastically. Pointing at the kneeling man, Andrew cast a puzzled glance at Luna. Luna, didn't you say your husband died? Who is this then? Realizing her deception was exposed, Luna dropped to her knees before Andrew with a thud, weeping pitifully. Andrew, hear me out. I was coerced by him. Henry tossed an investigation report at Andrew, saying, see for yourself what transpired. Andrew's trembling hands opened it, and upon reading, his veins bulged with rage. It emerged that Luna's husband, burdened by gambling debts, had conspired with her in desperation to deceive Andrew. Luna had returned to Andrew's side under the pretext of her husband's death, her true intent being to swindle money from him to settle her husband's debts. The jewelry you gifted her recently, along with valuable items idle in Chloe's home, were all liquidated by her, Henry revealed. He then threw a sales record at Andrew, adding, your cherished white moonlight has schemed against you from the outset, once attempting to drug you to secure the Yi family daughter-in-law role, only to be forced into marrying this man after my discovery. Was it truly worth relinquishing Chloe, who genuinely cared for you, for such a vain woman? Henry questioned. Over the years, it appeared we aided the Lin family, but in truth, Chloe was the one supporting us. Without her, could you have clinched so many deals? Reflect on that. Her true nature unmasked, Luna slumped to the floor, pointing at Henry and railing furiously, it's all your fault. But for you, I'd long be the Yi family's daughter-in-law, basking in boundless wealth and honor. You wanted your son to abandon me for Chloe? No chance. I deliberately deceived him to prevent their certification. Haha. As the truth unfolded before Andrew, he clenched his fists, glaring at Luna in fury. I was truly foolish to be deceived by you so long. He exclaimed, adding, and for you, I personally lost Chloe. Luna regarded Andrew and emitted a cold laugh. I never expected you'd truly fall for her. What a pity. If I can't claim the Yi wife's position, neither shall she. I've fallen for Chloe? Andrew froze, as if questioning both Luna and himself. Mention of Chloe stirred Andrew's recollections of the past. He'd always deemed her spoiled and overly delicate, yet she seldom revealed vulnerability before him, nor had he seen her cry often. Even when struck on the head by a vase last time, she neither cried out in pain nor shed a tear, raised amidst abundant affection. Aware of my weak stomach, she, who had never cooked, learned to do so for me. She also drank to alcohol poisoning at business dinners to secure project after project for me. Perhaps through these moments, I gradually fell for Chloe, unaware of my shifting emotions reflecting on my actions. Andrew's heart ached with spasms of regret. As Andrew was immersed in his thoughts, Luna abruptly rose, seized a fruit knife from the table, and lunged at Henry, crying, you ruined my life. Fortunately, the butler reacted swiftly, restraining her in time. After calming the startled Henry, Andrew instructed the butler, deliver them to the casino creditors, let them be well attended to. After Luna and her husband were removed, Henry sighed and said to Andrew, ultimately, you've wronged Chloe, go apologize to her properly. Andrew paused for a few seconds before responding slowly, no matter what, I will bring Chloe back, I will ensure she forgives me, and then turned to leave. Andrew's sole thought now was to swiftly retrieve Chloe. Meanwhile, I was at the mall with Alma, recently returned from abroad, selecting wedding favors. I never imagined you'd transition from my best friend to my aunt, Alma teased with a smile while choosing gifts. After paying, engrossed in conversation with Alma, I inadvertently bumped into someone, beginning, sorry. Before I could finish apologizing, I recognized the person. Andrew, unseen for some time, noticeably thinner, with a scruffy beard, devoid of his former vigor. Upon realizing it was me, Andrew eagerly grasped my arms, exclaiming, Chloe, I've finally found you. I visited your home, but you were never there. I called, and you didn't answer. I thought I'd never find you in this lifetime, he continued. I forcibly freed myself from Andrew's grip and replied expressionlessly, I do not wish to see you, please stop seeking me. Observing my coldness, Andrew's smile stiffened, a flicker of disappointment crossing his eyes. Chloe, I won't you grant me another chance? he pleaded, adding, "After you left, I discerned my true feelings. I love you, truly. Believe me." I regarded him with impatience and said coldly, "Do you truly love me?" "I suspect you love only the Chloe who was utterly compliant and meticulously attentive to you. You merely grew accustomed to my devotion, but Andrew, no one waits unconditionally forever," I concluded, linking arms with Alma to depart, only for Andrew to seize my wrist. "We've been together 3 years. How can you cease loving me so abruptly?" he questioned, adding, "If you forgive me, the Yi family will assuredly support the Lin business, and, I know you dislike Luna. I've sent her away. She'll no longer disrupt us." Observing Andrew's persistent delusion, I found it somewhat amusing, saying, "I agreed to the alliance not solely for the Lin business but because I loved you. I once laid my heart bare before you, yet you failed to cherish it, relishing my kindness while entangled with Luna. How can one have it all?" Alma, beside me, could no longer contain her indignation and loudly rebuked Andrew, seeking justice for me. "Andrew, after all you've done to hurt Chloe, you dare ask her forgiveness? Dream on. She's now married to my uncle. Cease disturbing her happy life," she declared. With his hopes dashed, Andrew released my hand, squatting powerlessly and sobbing into his hands, while Alma and I departed without a backward glance. Life without Andrew passed swiftly, and soon it was the day of my wedding to Ethan. After the ceremony, Henry approached me, personally handing me a wedding gift, saying, "Chloe, congratulations on your marriage. Andrew lacked the fortune. I hope you bear him no grudge." Henry appeared considerably aged. I offered him a faint smile, saying, "Uncle Henry, it's all past," and after regarding me, he sighed and departed. Ethan took my hand and gently embraced me, saying, "I've finally married you, Chloe." I looked up, puzzled, asking, "Finally?" Seeing my confusion, Ethan released me and retrieved a thick diary from the cabinet. As I read through the diary page by page, I couldn't help covering my mouth and weeping. It revealed that Ethan had liked me since our first meeting, yet I was already engaged to Andrew then. Upon learning I was to obtain a certificate with Andrew, he posted a marriage-seeking notice in a peek, never anticipating it would lead to our serendipitous union. Ethan tenderly wiped my tears, gazing at me affectionately. "Do you know how elated I was when you called that day proposing marriage? And that wedding dress, you can't imagine how often I envisioned you in it," he added. "I'm truly fortunate to marry you and share a lifetime. Perhaps destiny exists, and the right people eventually unite despite detours." I gently cupped Ethan's face and kissed his lips. He paused briefly, then deepened the kiss. Post-marriage, I fully assumed control of the Lin family business, and under my diligent management, its operations steadily improved. As I had nearly forgotten Andrew's existence, I unexpectedly encountered another news report about him. The news reported that Andrew's vehicle had been maliciously rigged with a timed bomb, resulting in his immediate death in the explosion, with the prime suspect being his erstwhile white moonlight, Luna. Disbelieving what I saw, I queried Ethan beside me if he was aware of this. He remained silent briefly before nodding. "I heard that upon discovering Luna's true nature, Andrew dispatched her and her feigned dead husband to the casino creditors," he explained. "Unable to repay the debts, Luna's husband pawned her off. Unable to endure the inhumane torment, she escaped," he continued. "She sought Andrew, but he refused aid, so, harboring resentment, she planted a bomb in his car," he concluded. Andrew's ultimate fate evoked a sense of melancholy in me. At that moment, all prior resentment toward him seemed to vanish. A year later, I resolved to establish a women's vocational training studio, dedicated to aiding women in acquiring and enhancing professional skills. After enduring these events, I came to realize that, whether in love or work, women must continually advance themselves to achieve genuine independence, no longer reliant on anyone. I also aspire, through my endeavors, to enable more women to radiate their own brilliance and allure.